Hello, dear students. Today we are going to speak about slideshow presentations. Open your books. Page 54. Let's start with our new vocabulary words. Listen to them and write down.
Check, complement, convey, create, decipher, display, distract,
embellishment, emerge,
facilitate,
generate, incorporate,
overuse,
present, reinforce, select, stand, stick,
stimulate,
type.
well executed,
And now, exercise 1. We are to define do's and don'ts for effective slideshow presentations. You are to fill in the following words: stand, create, put, know, present, overuse, check, display, select, stick, type, and. Let's check. What should we do? Check your equipment works before you give your presentation. Know your audience, age, education, interests, and etc. Stick to a color scheme. Present information in bullet points. Create visual representations of data, infographics, charts, graphs, and etc. And with a summary slide. What shouldn't we do? Stand in front of your slides. Put more than 5 bullet points on a slide. Select small, stylized fonts, difficult to make out from a distance. Overuse special effects. Type only in capitals. Display fonts on a similarly colored backgrounds. Now you are to look at the pictures and answer. Which ones can you see in the pictures? Picture A. Create visual representations of data, infographics, charts, graphs. Picture B. Don't stand in front of your slides. Picture C. Check your equipment works before you give your presentation. And now you are to add 2 more to each group. Look at the examples.
Do. Use contrasting colors so your text is easy to read. Practice your presentation. Don't. Include too much information on each slide. Use too many colors on one slide.
Exercise 2. Read the title of the text and the subheadings. How can these tips help you make an effective slideshow?
The tips can help your audience understand the material you're presenting, make your presentation look more professional, and get your message across.
Now let's listen and read to find out.
How to make an effective slideshow presentation. When giving a presentation, a well-executed slideshow can greatly facilitate understanding of the material you're presenting and also stimulate the audience's interest in the content. However, if your slideshow distracts from rather than supports the message, you run the risk of generating the exact opposite effect. In order to avoid confusing, distracting, and losing your audience, what you need to do is follow these 3 tips. They will set you on the right track towards creating an effective slideshow presentation. 1. Avoid wordy slides. When each and every word of your presentation is displayed on your slides, you will be tempted to read from the slides, but it is the audience who will be busy reading the information on the slides rather than listening to you. This would completely defeat the purpose of a presentation. What your slides are meant to do is complement your presentation by reinforcing important points, not overwhelm your audience with information. To avoid making this common mistake, focus on conveying only one idea on each slide and limit your slides to 5 bulleted lines of text, each containing at most 5 words. 2. Avoid distracting animations. PowerPoint, Prezi, and Keynote are all powerful presentation tools, full of creative ways of animating text, shapes, and images. When used wisely, these effects can make your presentation seem more dynamic and increase the impact of your message. However, it seems that when misused, these same effects can distract the audience and make your presentation seem unprofessional. To prevent yourself from falling into this trap, use animations sparingly, incorporating them only when your message calls for it, such as when you're discussing movement or change. Additionally, rather than have effects emerging from all angles on your slide, use animations to guide the audience's eyes to what they should be focusing on as you speak. 3. Pay attention to font style, size, and color. Last but not least, pay careful attention to font selection. It goes without saying that slides that are not readable will be highly ineffective at getting your message across. Not all font styles are easy to read when projected on a large screen. An example would be serif fonts, which have small decorative lines on different parts of the letters. Fonts without these embellishments, called sans serif fonts, are more readable in presentations. Script-based fonts, which are modeled after various forms of calligraphy and handwriting, should also be avoided, as they are sometimes difficult to decipher from a distance. Font size should also be carefully considered. For text to be clearly visible even from the back of the room, experts recommend between 24 and 32-point font size for the body of your presentation, with titles ranging from 36 to 44-point size. Finally, be sure that your font stands out against the background of your slide. Contrasting colors are key. What people are generally used to is reading dark text on a light background, so that's a good place to start.
In exercise 3, you are to read the text again and answer the following questions. How should you use slides to complement your presentation? You should use slides with bullet points to reinforce important points. Use up to 5 lines of text, each up to 5 words. According to the text, you should avoid making this common mistake. Focus on conveying only one idea on each slide. Limit your slides to 5 bulleted lines of text, each containing at most 5 words. Why is it important to use animations in moderation? Animations can increase the impact of messages when used wisely. Overuse can distract the audience and make the presentation appear unprofessional. In the text, it is said that these effects can make your presentation seem more dynamic and increase the impact of your message. What problems might someone sitting at the back of the room face during your presentation? How can you deal with it or them? They may not be able to clearly read the slides. You should use clear fonts, large enough to be seen from the distance. Fonts should stand out from the background, so use contrasting colors. In the text, it was said, it goes without saying that slides that are not readable will be highly ineffective at getting your message across. In exercise 4, you are to match the words to their meanings. Creating means generating, communicating, conveying, help, facilitate, appearing, emerging, make out, decipher, encourage, stimulate, including, incorporating, add to, complement. In exercise 5, you are to say 2 things you have learned that will help you in your next presentation. Let's compare with the model.
I have learned not to put too many words on my slide and to use a larger font size. I usually try to include too much information on my slides, so next time I will definitely remember these tips.
I learnt to be careful with using animation in a presentation because it can be distracting if done badly. I also learned to use contrasting colours for the background and the text to make the slides easier to read from a distance.
In exercise 6, we are to revise our grammar on impersonal and cleft sentences. Let's remember the rules. Impersonal sentences are sentences that have no natural subject. We usually have the word there or it in the subject position. We use there plus be to say that someone, something exists.
There are a lot of colourful fish here.
Use it plus be for identification.
Who is it, Mary?
It's the pizza delivery man.
We use it plus be for distance, temperature, time, weather.
It's cold and wet, but fortunately, it's only a few meters till I reach my house.
We use it in expressions such as it seems, appears, that, it looks like, it doesn't matter, etc.
It seems that the seagulls are looking for fish in the sea.
We use you, one, more formal to refer to people in general, anyone, not someone particular.
You mustn't swim here. One mustn't swim here.
We use they followed by the verbs say, believe, etc. to refer to people in general.
They say pandas are among the world's most threatened animals.
We use they to refer to a group of people, for example, an organization, people on authority, etc.
They breed tigers in this zoo.
Cleft sentences. We use cleft sentences to put emphasis on what we are saying. It is or was not plus noun plus relative clause.
It was the vet who saved the baby tiger.
It is what not plus noun phrase plus relative clause.
It is on air currents high in the sky where eagles search for prey.
It is was not plus pronoun plus relative clause.
It wasn't a natural disaster which destroyed the forest. It was the logging companies.
What plus subject plus verb plus is or was.
What I really want is for people not to litter our parks.
In exercise 6, you are to find examples of impersonal and cleft sentences in the text. Let's check. Impersonal sentences are: it seems that, it goes without saying, and cleft sentences are: what you need to do is, it is the audience who will be, what your slides are meant to do is, what people are generally used to is. Now you are to rewrite the following sentences as cleft ones. For example, Ulan checked the equipment before his presentation. The last thing Ulan did before his presentation was to check the equipment. You are to finish this exercise yourselves. In exercise 7, you will hear an interview with a public speaking expert. You are to complete the sentences.
Hello, this is Daisy Michaels, and welcome to this week's Uni Life podcast. Today, we've got Dr. Andrew Peterson in the studio, talking to us about how to give a great presentation. Welcome, Dr. Peterson. So, how can we give effective presentations?
Thanks for having me, Daisy. Well, to begin with, confidence is a major factor in how well your presentation goes. If you are a confident speaker, people will be more interested in listening to what you have to say. To appear and be more confident, you can research your subject really well so that you feel comfortable talking about it. You can also practice speaking in front of a mirror or a friend or family member to help you prepare. Another tip is to use open body language. Stand up straight, Look at your audience and don't fold your arms.
Some great advice there. But how can we make sure our audience is interested in what we've got to say?
Well, you should try to grab the attention of your audience. You can use a question, powerful statement, or interesting fact at the beginning or end of your slideshow. This will encourage discussion to take place and may leave your audience with something to think about. Another technique you can try is addressing them directly with questions and eliciting answers. Knowing that they may be asked to contribute to the presentation makes most members of the audience much better listeners.
That seems like a great way to captivate your audience. Any last pieces of advice for us before we run out of time?
Yes, one more thing. Use visuals in your slideshow to get your ideas across. You can even embed a video or attach a piece of music to your slideshow. Also, when displaying statistics or data, insert a visual such as a chart or a graph. Don't display tables of raw data that is difficult to interpret. Analyze and process your data first, produce an appropriate graph or chart, and insert that into your slideshow. One way to do this effectively is to use an infographic. They are a great way to display data and grab the attention of your audience.
Wow, those are some amazing tips. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for today.
Look at the examples. Try to be a confident speaker. Make sure you research the topic well. You're to finish this exercise yourselves. And now exercise 9. Collect information about slideshow presentations, including body language, layered graphics, and design, extra material, and any extra tips. Then write rules for how to give a successful slideshow presentation. Look at the example.
Body language. Use open body language when giving a presentation. Stand up straight and don't fold your arms. Remember to look up at the audience while you are speaking and not look at the screen or read from your notes. Layout. Keep the layout of your presentation simple. Don't overcrowd slides with too much information. Use a maximum of 5 bullet points, each with up to 5 words. Too much information will distract your audience. Graphics and design. Use visuals to help get your message across without the use of words. Choose an appropriate color scheme that makes your slideshow seem more professional and attractive. Extra material. Embed music and videos in your slideshow if it is relevant, but make sure it works before you give the presentation. Provide your audience with handouts if you feel it would be helpful. This will provide them with the main points so that they aren't too busy writing notes to listen. Extra tips. Practice your presentation in front of a mirror, a friend or family member, or even record yourself to help you improve. Research your topic well so that you are equipped to take questions from your audience. Take opportunities to include your audience in your presentation. A simple opinion poll or question can really help grab the audience's attention.